maybe my new favorite team name out there, the B team. This is like a C. This is like a C team level podcast, but the B team down there.
Yeah, no, you know what? Like, I think they're gonna have a good thing going on, especially if they're all on the same page of what they want to accomplish, especially as kind of a group. I think one of the best shirts that they have is Craig's Mexican ground
karate.
Yeah, Mexican ground karate. I'm like, God damn, karate. That's borderline racist, but like,
it's cultural appropriation, Aaron. Leave it alone.
Oh man, but
Mexicans want royalties.
Oh, for sure. But that definitely, I think they have a good group down there. I think everybody really at this point wants to be the fly on the wall when these guys are all talking, or especially when the Danaher Death Squad announced that they were going to separate and become two separate units. And I think what's happening now is those kind of truths are starting to come out that, as we were saying before, like Nicky Rod has come out and kind of said that we needed to cut the poison away. There was a poison that we needed to get away from. Danaher was always there, but he wasn't, and he even said, he's like, Danaher wasn't teaching us stuff. It was all of us teaching us each other things and all that kind of jazz. Where I'm like, hey, I don't know if you want to be saying that about John, but I mean, I'm not in the room, so I can't really say much, but I understand the rest of those guys were all kind of feeding off each other. But Danaher was the wizard. He was the guy who put everything together and to make sure everybody made sense out of everything. So now they're not going to have that voice in the room anymore. So I don't know. How do you feel about Nicky Rod kind of saying those types of things and the cutting the poison away? And what do you think that poison was?
I don't know. Maybe it starts with it rhymes with Ford and Fian. Maybe maybe it rhymes with that. Maybe it was just something entirely altogether. I think what happens is when you have in the history of jiu-jitsu, like every major superpower team that you want to think of, like Brasa, Alliance, Gracie, Baja, they've all had those like conflicts and splits at some point that have resulted in like, you know, people leaving for other teams, or like, I'm going to leave and start my own team, or it's happened everywhere. It's like, for example, you know, one that I was you know, like I'm a Gracie Hume, I taught rep as well, but like there has been even splits within there. Like, for example, Saulo Ribeiro split from Hoyler, Gracie, for example, and started Ribeiro Jiu-Jitsu. Like that's a split there. So I think it comes down to like everybody eventually kind of wants to do their own thing, and they want to almost like have their own philosophy and their own, I guess, like I think there's a lot of times what it comes down to is like creative differences. It's maybe like, you know, maybe they don't see eye to eye with how like an association or something should be running, and then they decide one day, like, you know what, I want to start my own affiliation or association, and this is what I want to do with it. So I think I'm not saying they're going to be like, you know, two different associations, but I think it just comes down to when you have that many also egos in the room as well. So you have a lot of people that are gunning to be number one in the room, and you have like, you know, 15, 20 people all doing that. Eventually, not everybody's going to be on the same page. And there's going to be people that are going to want to maybe gravitate and want to train maybe more with each other. And there's a lot of egos and a lot of things to keep in check. And I don't think there's any coach in the world that can keep that in line forever.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you. It's going to be interesting to see, especially when these TU teams, so New Wave Jiu-Jitsu and
the B teams,
like when they start ending up on the opposite brackets.
You could call them the B team.
Yeah. That's when it's going to get interesting, when you got the main players. So like guys like Craig Jones, Gordon Ryan, Ethan, Nicky Rod, all those guys, Nicky Ryan, all these guys are going to end up facing other guys from New Wave when they're on the opposite sides of the brackets. And we're going to see where those individuals, again, like how those matches go, obviously who's obviously taking those matches as well. Cause I think it's going to come down to prides, like who's winning these matches, who's the more dominant team, where was the actual talent, right? Was it within the competitors? Was it within the coaching? That's what we're going to see.
I think it's going to be very interesting. We're going to see a lot of that in ADCC 2021. You can potentially see, Nicky Rod versus Gordon Ryan happening that year. There's a strong chance, especially if Gordon follows through with, I think he wants to move up and fight plus 99 kilos. Nicky Rod's going to be fighting plus 99.
Now, are they going to let Gordon Ryan, are they going to let him do the super fight and the division?
Well, that's the ultimate question. So if he's allowed to, he said he wants to fight his division and he wants to do the super fight with John Danaher.